Hello, friends
Oh, that was recorded.
and
Right?
followers. Jon and I have been on a very long hiatus. I'm sure you've noticed. Our last segment, we promised that we would be back with a topic on bullying. And because of various things going on in both of our lives, we couldn't do it until tonight. But we are so excited to be back. And I cannot wait to tell you my experience of bullying, which has primarily come from Jon.
Wait a second. For someone that's so excited to be back, you seem like you're virtually horrified at the thought of being back. There's no enthusiasm in your voice whatsoever. Maybe you want to at least pretend to be excited for 45 minutes?
No, that's because of the topic. And when I checked the meaning of bullying, it says someone who seeks to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone who is perceived as vulnerable.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
As far as I'm concerned,
yes,
that's me at the hands of you.
Really? Because I didn't bother to look up the term the term bullying. I simply am going to cite examples of you bullying me. Now, it just so happens the other day we were having a bit of an argument as normal, which was basically what our relationship entails. And you just all of a sudden blurted out that I'm a midget. Now, again, the definition of a midget, because I looked that up, and I, by the way, do not fit that criteria. At 5'6", that's not considered a midget, but yet you continue to pound that word midget over and over, including telling other people that we were around, and you thought that was just so funny. Now, let me remind you, I have feelings, and that did not make me feel special, and I took that as a form of bullying. Now, I could cite many other examples of your bullying towards me, including on the podcast, where I think that many times you've been quite mean to me, quite insulting towards me, and it made me feel really bad many times.
Well, Jon, I can explain that. You continuously tell me that your friends tell you do a great job of beating me up on the podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, you get killed on this
podcast. And so when I'm hearing this from your friends, I have to stand up for myself. And I don't call you these names on the podcast.
You mean the name midget? Let me cite another example of something that happened the other day.
You didn't let me finish what I was saying. If you notice, these things you're accusing me of, they transpire between you and I'm doing them just to make you laugh.
So you don't think I'm a midget?
Or maybe make myself laugh.
Is that 5'6", do you consider me a midget? Which, by the way, is funny because you're 2 or 3 inches shorter than me. So what does that make you?
That's okay. I'm a woman, and I could put heels on and catch up and pass you.
Well, these days men could put heels on also.
Oh, good. Why don't you show up in some heels at work?
Not my thing. Speaking of heels and shoes, let me cite another example of your bullying the other day. I happen to have been wearing a pair of shoes that I've owned for some time. And for the most part, you don't look at the bottom of your shoes. You just put your shoes on. If they look okay, you wear them or whatever. I do have a tendency to wear things into the ground. I admit that. And it was the other day when it was raining out that I noticed when I was wearing these shoes that all of a sudden my foot was very wet. And of course, the first thought was that I peed myself down my leg and my foot got soaking wet. But then I realized when I lifted up my foot that there was a giant hole at the bottom of my shoe, which must have been, I don't know, the floor must have been working on that hole for about a year. It was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, I made the stupid mistake of coming into the studio and just mentioning to you that my foot got wet from stepping in water because the hole in my shoe, I showed it to you, and all of a sudden, your reaction, it was as if I showed you a picture of something so horrific. You actually made a choking and vomiting noise. You were like, ugh. Ugh, he was so disgusted by this. Now, I tried explaining to you that it was the last wearing and that I was going to donate them to charity. And even at the thought of donating to charity, you still bullied me by telling me, oh, you don't even have any respect for poor people that you would give them those shoes. And I try to explain to you there are people in the world that have no shoes and they'd be thrilled to have a pair of shoes even if it has a hole in it. And you continue to hammer away at me and hammer away and hammer away. And again, another example of your bullying. I could go on and on because basically you bully me all day. I mean, I'm just giving you two examples, like literally within the last 24 hours of things.
How can I bully you all day? I'm not with you all day.
You bully me via
So
text.
you can
You
tell.
bully me on the phone. You bully me in person. You bully me through other people. You are a bully. I don't know if you noticed it. Just because you have a small stature, it doesn't mean that you're not a giant-sized bully. By the way, speaking of bullying, let's get into the topic.
You notice I'm not saying anything. I'm
There's
just,
nothing to say.
you had difficult time that you didn't have a place to come and air all this stuff before tonight. So you had it all bottled up. And now
No,
that tonight we've opened up the microphones for the podcast, you cannot wait to start purging. So please
No,
don't.
excuse me. You just said, you made a statement when you opened up this segment, number 15 of bullying. You said that we were on a long hiatus because we both had things going on. I had nothing going on. I was prepared to do a podcast every week. You're the one that had things going on.
Excuse me?
You went on hiatus.
Jewish holidays that prevented us from doing
I
this.
didn't have any Jewish holidays.
You did.
Which ones?
We can't do any podcasts because we have Jewish holidays most of
That's a total lie.
April.
That was September.
No, in April you had a bunch of holidays where you were
Oh, Passover.
Why do you lie about everything?
I forgot.
Of course.
Well, that corresponded with
just
Easter.
like he forgot
That was 1 week.
all of
That
the
was 1 week.
holidays.
What about the last 7 weeks before that? Huh? Miss, I'm moving locations. Oh, I'm moving the studio. Oh, I'm moving this. I'm doing this. You were the one that was busy. I had 3 days of holidays and I wasn't available out of 6 weeks. So why don't you take responsibility and own the hiatus, as opposed to trying to say that it involved both of our schedules?
Ranthison Wright, as you know, he has a name that's been well earned, is always right. So whatever he says, it's the
And
truth.
I have a name for you because I was listening during this hiatus. You know what I did? Is that all this free time on my hands, I went back to all 14 higher podcasts.
You must have been bored.
No, I happen to think they're very funny and entertaining. And mostly because of me. But I did go back, and one of the things you referred to me as on one of the podcasts was a dictator. But not only did you call me a dictator, you referred to it as a dictator, with the emphasis on the male anatomy. So I came up with a term for you, being that you were getting all bossy these last couple of weeks when we weren't doing the podcast on hiatus. You are a vaginatator. And I'm sure from the word you could understand what vaginatator means. It's the female version of dictator. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever used that term.
And you've been talking since this podcast started. So I would like to politely ask you just to shut up.
Sorry if I have sounds like I have a smoker's cough. It's allergies.
Dictator is a word. It is in the dictionary.
In the whattionary?
The dictionary.
The whattionary?
Same one.
So the word dictator is in the dictionary. Is there a vaginatary?
No, but you are fabricating words because John.
I'm not. We are in an era right now of non-binary, non-gender conforming, and I don't think something should be called a dictionary or a dictator any more than it should be called a vaginatary or a vaginatator.
Please, you're gonna make me throw up my dinner.
What'd you have?
No,
You didn't eat dinner. You don't eat dinner.
You don't live at my house. How do you know what I did?
Because I know you didn't eat dinner.
How do you know I didn't eat dinner?
I know for a fact you didn't eat dinner.
How could you know if I had dinner?
Did you have dinner?
I did.
No, you didn't. You didn't have time. I know what time you got home, and I know what time you got to the studio. There's no time for dinner in there. Sorry, vaginatator.
So people can eat while they're driving, Mister. I know.
Yeah, you don't do that. Okay, so let's get into the topic of bullying. So, but bullying comes in a lot of different forms.
Yes, because this is bullying. What is happening here right now is bullying. You telling me
You mean you waving that finger in my face?
Had dinner is bullying me. You're bullying me to believe I didn't have something which I had.
You had something, you didn't have dinner. You had a snack. I could tell because you get very agitated when you get hungry, and you're very agitated.
No, I'm agitated because I'm in here with you.
No, you're just agitated.
That's why I'm agitated, period.
No, you got agitated because you're hungry.
Okay.
Okay, I wanted to talk about bullying. Bullying, comes in many different forms. You know what some of the forms of bullying is? You know, and I'm talking seriously now.
No, I have the same ones. Go ahead.
You don't say I didn't look it up. I made it up.
Okay.
So I don't have what you have.
Okay, let's hear. Maybe you do. Let's hear.
Bullying, the bottom line with bullying is strong versus weak. That's the way I look at that. When a stronger person picks on or forces a weaker person to doing things or act in certain ways or whatever, that is a form of bullying. But
I
you know what else
don't
is bullying?
agree. I don't agree. I don't agree. I don't agree that they're stronger. I think
It
that
doesn't mean
they-
physically necessarily. It could be
Okay.
emotionally, it could be
Yes, but a strong person would not bully someone else. So I disagree with your choice.
why would a strong person not bully someone? What does that mean? Why?
Because if you're strong, as in mentally and emotionally,
Right.
you wouldn't want to take advantage of someone who is not your equal.
So every bully is weak.
I think
Physically
bullies, I think bullies are weak people. I think they're insecure.
Then why are bullies
think-
always the one doing the beating up
Listen,
and not getting
listen.
beaten up?
Bullies have rage.
Excuse me. Sorry, it slipped out. It slipped out. What? It's not the first time it happened. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
They have anger, bullies. They're angry about something. They want to take revenge. Sometimes it's jealousy. So I wouldn't call that a strong
Maybe
person.
they just don't like the other person. That's possible.
Whatever, but a strong person, as in a strong person, and according to my definition of strong, they may convince the person they're bullying that they're stronger, but it doesn't mean that they're stronger, because I'm a strong person. I'm not gonna bully anybody.
You're strong?
I am very strong,
In what way? Physically strong?
physically and
okay.
emotionally.
Well, emotionally, maybe. Yes, definitely not physically.
What do you know about
You're skinny little too. What are you talking about?
dexterity, my strength? What do you know anything about?
Because there's been plenty of times when you've tried to smack me and push me and whatever, and it doesn't even, I don't even move.
You have an incredible.
And I'm a midget.
You know what? You have an annoying imagination, but keep going. I'm sure someone is entertained by this.
You know what's a horrible example of bullying? And we're gonna get serious now. Rape. Rape, I think, is a form of bullying.
I agree with that.
Then why don't you have it in your notes?
How do you know it's not in my notes?
I don't.
Bullying! Oh my God.
Theft.
You can't help
Theft is a
yourself.
form of bullying. Thinking that you can just take something from someone else, that's a form of bullying, isn't it?
If you say so.
Well, do you agree?
Yes, I guess you could. Well,
No, you already agreed, too late. So we're moving on. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
no, keep going.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I think it's someone who tyrannizes another person who realizes another angry, bitter person who's full of rage, who's been hurt, who's whatever the reason, meet someone that they realize they can manipulate, and they carry all this anger inside for whatever reason, and they find in this person someone who they can
Control.
vent, and the venting can come in the form of control. Hitting, cyberbullying. It comes in many different forms, but
Well, bullying could be physical or mental or, like you said, cyber. Or yes,
right. In Guyana, where I was raised, we have a saying, and the saying is, "Monkey knows which limb to jump on," and basically that translates to they can identify someone in their mind who is weak, and that person becomes the object of their bitterness, of their venom, of their hatred, and that person continues to be the one that what they do is they project all of what they have inside on this person, because the person apparently doesn't stand up for themselves because of whatever reason.
Almost like child abuse also.
Exactly.
Horrible.
And when
I'm sorry, go ahead.
when I was producing my television show in San Francisco, we had a woman come one day. She was on one of her shows because her daughter was being bullied at school and didn't want to tell them because she didn't want them to go to the school to make a report that would make her get bullied even more. So she never said anything. And one day at school, when she couldn't take it anymore, she tried to slit her throat.
Why don't you slit the throat of the bully instead?
And they found her in the bathroom. She didn't die, and now she's a paraplegic.
See, I never understood that. Why does a person who's getting bullied harm themselves? Why don't they go and harm the bully?
Because like for some reason they don't believe in themselves. Maybe they don't come from a
So make a last stand and go try to kill the bully.
John, everybody doesn't think like you.
I know, and we've already established that that's a problem.
So I don't know anybody who's ever been bullied who tried to kill somebody, kill the bullier or the bullying party.
Well, sure you have. You have. No. Wait. Yes. Women, let's say, that are in abusive marriages many times have killed the husband. You give an example of Lorraine Bobbitt all the time. That was a form. No, she bullied the husband because of what he was doing to her.
No, that wasn't bullying. She cut his penis out. That's not bullying.
That's okay. Oh, I didn't realize that's not considered bullying.
Stop.
No, but I'm giving an example of someone that's bullied fighting back and hurting somebody else instead of hurting. She could have easily, that's not even a word. She could have easily chopped off her own vagina, let's say, but instead she chose to chop off his male private part. Good for her. I think that was great. But I'm saying the people that are anybody out there who's being bullied, do not harm yourself. Harm the bully. If you have anger and aggression, don't blame yourself. Go out and attack the person that's been attacking you and making you miserable. Is that not a fair statement?
John, I'm not here to judge if your statements are fair or not, because you'll bully me if I don't agree, and I'm tired of your bullying. But the point I would like to make is, how do we stop this? It's become a really big problem that seems like it's out of control because we have access to the World Wide Web. A lot of bullying is occurring there's a lot of cyberbullying because it's so easy to pick up a phone and send a text message to anyone.
Well,
when I was
that's not cyber. That's actual direct communication.
Right. Yeah, but also
posting on like a chat about someone where there's 1,000 other people on there, and okay.
That's what I'm trying to say. But when I was growing up, we didn't have that. We didn't have access to the internet, and so
we didn't have electricity.
I don't think that, and that's not bullying.
No,
I don't think.
I think there may have been electricity, just like a very primitive form of it.
Now, John, you're so rude. I don't even remember what I was going to say.
Okay. So let me give you an example of when I bullied someone.
This is what I call bullying. I'm going to make her lose her train.
No, you said it was going already. I don't want downtime on the podcast.
I can bully my way into what she's saying, so I can make my point. Go ahead.
No, you lost. You said your point was lost. So once we sit here, okay, let's all sit here with dead air for the next 15 minutes till you can think of what your point was. You want to do that, or you want me to fill in the dead space?
Do that. Because you're so rude and you're so brazen about it. You're not even nonchalant about it. This is what makes it annoying.
You hear the dead space now? We're waiting for you to think of your point.
No, you want to.
Okay. So I'm going to give an example of some bullying that I did in high school, and I feel terrible, and I want to publicly apologize to a friend of mine, Mikey. Now, Mikey was a high school friend of mine. Sweetest guy. Actually, his son and my son are friends still right now. But his mother, Mikey's mother, used to make the best salami sandwich that man has ever tasted. And Mikey would bring his salami sandwich every day to school, or many days to school. And I had the nerve and the audacity to take that salami sandwich and eat it. And I didn't just do it once. I did it many times. But what makes it even worse,
not much has changed.
What makes it even worse is that Mikey is the nicest guy in the world. So what would happen, again, I was a very different person in high school. I would go over to him later in the day after I ate his salami sandwich, because I may have still been hungry, and I asked him if I could borrow money to buy lunch. And many times he lent money and then realized he didn't have his sandwich, and he didn't even have money for the lunch. How terrible is that? So I'm publicly apologizing to Mike. I'm not going to use his last name. The salami sandwiches were absolutely delicious, but I profusely apologize for my obnoxiously selfish behavior. And now that's been something that's been bothering me since high school, which is already over 30 years.
So, John, I'd like to address the hole in your shoes. Because I don't want anyone listening to this podcast to walk away thinking I'm some kind of a snob. Because I'm not. Mm-hmm. But to me, why do we wear shoes? We wear shoes to protect our feet. We wear shoes so that when we walk, we don't have stuff poking us on the bottom of our feet. Why would you take a pair of shoes, and I've never seen holes so big on the sole of a shoe?
Not even on a homeless person?
Seriously? Someone who couldn't afford a pair of shoes? Maybe. But this person sitting here next to me can afford a shoe store.
How do you know what I can afford?
I know. And
You don't know anything.
I could not believe the size of the holes. And that's one thing if he chooses to wear shoes like that. It's his prerogative. I'm not going to be a bully and tell him he shouldn't. But why would you want to give that to someone who is needy? How is that helping them?
Because if they have no shoes, it's better than nothing. What are you talking? Why do you not understand that concept?
Because their feet are gonna get cooked if it's warm.
What if it's in a dry climate, like a desert, like in Guyana, wherever you grew up? Does it rain over there?
Things in the ground that they can get in their feet.
But they're gonna get worse in their feet if they don't have any shoes.
But couldn't
You know, it's like saying,
no, can I finish making my point? You're so rude and obnoxious all the time.
just hurry up with your point.
The point is, couldn't he take those shoes off before those holes became so big and give them to someone?
I didn't notice. That's what I said. I didn't notice till my feet got wet when I stepped in a puddle. You don't listen. You don't listen.
How could a pair of shoes have a hole that big and someone not know? It's beyond me because I'm not exaggerating. If you take your second finger and your thumb and make a circle, that's how big the hole was. It was not a tiny hole. So when he showed it to me, he thought he was being funny. And I don't want to use the adjectives
Use
to
it.
describe the emotion that I experienced when he showed it to me.
It was disgusting.
Because I am not a bully.
Well, you certainly acted like that.
Okay. Now back to the other point I forgot earlier that I would
Oh, you
like to
remembered?
make. Anyone listening to this podcast, if you're a parent, if you're a young man or woman, whomever, if you have been hurt, take care of it because studies show if you don't take care of your wounds, people who haven't cut you, you're going to bleed on them. And that's sort of how bullying, that's how it plays out. We don't live in a perfect world and none of us are perfect, but no one has a right to take advantage of someone just because they perceive that person to be less strong than they are. And so I'm appealing to anybody listening to this. If you've been bullied, there's a bully and no bully help hotline, and I'm going to leave it now, and I will also leave it at the end of the show. If someone is bullying you or bullying someone you know, you need to call this number. It's called the No Bully Help Hotline, and the number is 866-488-7386.
I'm calling right now. Can I call?
ahead.
No, I'm telling on you. While you're here, I'm going to have the counselor that answers the bully hotline talk to you about what you do to me.
Studies have also shown that in the United States, 1 in 5 students between the ages of 12 and 18 are being bullied or has been bullied. And students who've reported to have been bullied, they don't do well in reading and mathematics. And so it's wrong for someone else to steal your life. I interviewed a young man on my television show in San Francisco. This was a big story. It was all over the news. Probably saw it. When he was a
Probably
child,
not.
it was big news. This was a big story.
What's this?
It was national. It was it made the news across the country. This young man and his brother who were sent to summer camp, and they were sodomized by a priest who threatened that if they told anyone, he would kill their mother and their sister. And they were 9 and 12, I think.
What is wrong with
It's
priests?
on my show. It's on my website.
What is wrong with priests? This
But
isn't like an
anyway.
isolated thing.
he stole the lives of these two young men and apparently others like them. And part of why I started my television show was to stop bullying. I hate bullies. And so, Jon, tonight on this podcast, you need to apologize to me for calling me a bully.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yes,
so
you will.
oh, quiet.
You will.
So what the hell is wrong with priests? What is wrong with priests? Why are they animals? This is not an isolated incident. These priests, they're like, what, you try to hit me and you missed and you're mad at me now? No, I'm asking a serious question. What is wrong with priests? There's something that demented about priests, that they become priests and then all of a sudden they take advantage of children. I never seen such disgusting behavior.
I wouldn't just say priest. I would say
No,
people.
it's very common.
So,
with clergy, it's very common.
okay, you know what they say, and I cannot prove this, and so nobody comes after my jugular. I'm just repeating what I've heard. I don't know how true it is, but they say angry people become policemen. People who are hiding from their true identity become priests and nuns. I mean, look, the world is.
That really, you heard that? Or I never heard that, really?
Wow, well, my ears popped when I said that. But apparently, people, yes, I've heard that. And if you do the research, you may discover there are studies that support these claims. That someone who has a lot of rage becomes a police officer because it allows
I understand the reason why. It makes sense.
And then a person who may be gay and can't admit they're gay, they join.
Why are you looking at me when you said that?
I am not here.
I don't have a gay bone in my body.
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, you're bullying me, right? You're bullying me.
Okay.
Anyway. You're trying to out me. There's nothing to out.
You know, we joke about bullying each other and stuff like that, but it's not funny because many lives have been lost at a very tender age because of bullies.
Yes, and it affects their entire life.
Those people continue to live their life while their victims have been cheated out of what should have been.
Well, I have an idea.
Chosen.
I have an idea.
Yeah, because I know you always have solutions. So come on, Jon. Bring it on out. Maybe somebody could use that.
So here's one of my solutions. One of the primary places of bullying is school, right? Kids.
Mm-hmm.
And kids are the most impressionable and precious items that are in the world, right? And when you impact a child in their early years, whether good or bad, you're literally impacting their entire life going forward, because it can manifest in all their relationships and job and whatever, everything. So I think that every school, whether public school, private school, every school through from let's say kindergarten through the end of high school should have a dedicated administrator in the school that is dedicated only to one thing, and that is to address interpersonal issues between the children in the school. That would include bullying, that would include fighting, that would include arguments, whatever, where there's a person this is their job. And when you have a problem or you're being bullied, you can go and speak to this one person, and this person must have an action plan on how to deal with the problem. And I think that not only would save lives, but I think it would also prevent a lot of bullying from even occurring in the first place. It's like, are you going to commit a crime when there's a police officer in the store? Probably not. So this anti-bully administrator who is in the building all the time, and this is his dedicated position, I think just the presence would be a deterrent to the bullying in the first place. But the parents could call, the kids can go in confidence and talk, and once a complaint is made, it must be documented and a plan must be initiated to try to resolve it.
But how do you know this, that they haven't got this already in the school systems?
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Have you?
Well, I don't have kids in school anymore.
Neither do I.
I don't know, but we should check. And I think.
Okay, you check and report back to us and let us know. But I've never heard of it before. But I think this is, like I said, a dedicated position.
You offended when I used the word dictator, but did you all hear him just assign me to go and check? I do everything for this.
Well, you're a real journalist.
He shows up and blows hot air, and now anything that requires work.
He's smart enough to do research.
Please
look at me. I'm a midget.
Into doing.
I'm just a midget. What can I do? I'm too small. I'll walk into the school to do research. They won't even see me. I'm so small. And then when they see me, I'll have these shoes that have holes.
No, when they
Look at the
see you,
midget with holes in his shoes. They're not going to take me seriously.
you will get all the attention. The greasy wheel gets the oil. The squeaky wheel.
Can I tell you
gets the
something
oil.
that is so disturbing and bothering to me? Do you have neighbors? Do you live next to any neighbors?
I have a neighbor, and so we do too.
Do you have a good relationship with them?
Yes, I like my neighbor.
Do you
I
neighbor?
hope she likes me if you ever come to my house and you're so loud.
No, I'll never do that. What is the issue? What is the thing with neighbors and like borrowing things from you? Do you ever have a neighbor come down? Oh, can I borrow
No.
eggs? Or can
I don't have Jewish neighbors.
Oh, so it's a Jewish thing. You anti-Semite. So it's like we have these fucking neighbors all the time coming to borrow. It's one thing. Okay, can I borrow an egg? Okay, yeah, here's an egg. Fine. Okay, no big deal. I come to my house one time. Do you have Tylenol? Yeah, of course I have Tylenol. How many do you need? He says 12. That's a bottle. Stop and buy a bottle. If you could walk to my house to borrow Tylenol, can't you get in your car and go to CVS? Well, you're asking me to. That's not borrowing anymore. You're saying, can I have a bottle? Which then involves, can I pay you back? And another neighbor says to me, can I borrow your electric shaver? No, it's a personal thing. I'm shaving my face. Anything that involves the oil and grease on my face mixing with yours, that's not okay. What such nerve?
I have a suggestion.
Oh shit, my neighbors listen to the podcast.
I have a suggestion. You need to get this podcast on a flash drive and give it to your neighbor.
Another neighbor. Can I borrow a vacuum? No, I don't want something that's sucking up the shit in your house coming back into my. I'm a no shoe house. I don't know what the fuck you're vacuuming up. I'm sorry. I'm getting bent out of shape. You can't borrow my vacuum. You can't borrow my shaver, and you can't have 12 Tylenols. No. Okay. So I've learned to say no to people when they ask. Unfortunately, I'm married to someone that doesn't know how to say no when people ask to borrow something. But I've decided you can't borrow anything from me anymore. No one can borrow anything. Get in your car and go to a store, unless it's an emergency and it's the middle of the night and the store is closed. You're not borrowing anything from me anymore. Freaking nervous people. What?
So,
oh, go ahead.
No, you were saying something.
I was enraged about something else the other day.
When are you not enraged? But keep going.
Do you ever hear, you know a store called Pliables? Did I tell you this? Pliables?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did tell you. So you don't listen to me. You told me that you have a store like that in California when I described it to you. So you did hear this. Yes. It's a liar. A liar. So this store Pliables, they make the acai bowls, and they also have this juicing machine. So I love.
Yeah, I didn't remember the name yet. So I told you we called it Jamba Juice.
Yes, so we did have this conversation.
Yeah, but I didn't remember the name of what it was called. That's why.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm not supposed to remember everything you tell me.
You probably should. Most of what I say is important. I just said before you.
By whose definition?
Okay, so Pliables, they have this juice that they make. It's like carrots, oranges, and green apples. Delicious. So I go there the other day. They said, "What size do you want?" There's like an 8 ounce, a 10 ounce, a 16, or whatever. Okay, give me the biggest one. It's only like $1 more for the biggest one. The guy makes the juice, fills up the cup, and there's still a bunch more in the pitcher. So he hands me the cup. I go, "Wait a second." I go, "What are you doing with the rest of the juice in the pitcher?" He goes, "I'm throwing it out." I go, "Why would you throw it out?" He goes, "Well, what am I supposed to do with it?" I go, "Well, I don't know. Put in another cup. I'll take the rest of it." I go, that stuff is gold. I go, "You just juice vegetables and fruits, and you're selling that stuff, and it's expensive." I go, "Why would you dump the rest out?" He goes, "I don't know. That's just what we do." I go, "Okay, wait. Personally, yes, of course, give it to me." But then of course, I have a solution for him. He's like, "Well, everybody likes different things." I said, "Why don't you have one big pitcher or something, and all the excess juice from everybody's juice, when there's extra, instead of pouring it down the drain and wasting it, why don't you pour it into this one pitcher and have this be like a mystery juice, or have it be like a whatever, I forgot what I called it. I actually came up with a term for it." He's like, "Oh, it's a very good idea." I go, "Well, do you think you're going to do that?" He goes, "No." But what it's painful
because
to see.
You don't get to walk into an establishment and tell the staff what to do. They have protocol.
Fair enough.
If you were speaking to the owner, it would be different. But you're speaking to an employee who has to follow the company's protocol.
Don't they have suggestion boxes anymore?
Well, then you should say to him, leave it in their suggestion box, or better yet, but this lazy people like you wouldn't do, ask for the manager's number.
Can you do it?
And call.
Do you mind?
I refuse to let them get.
But this, I was so upset. I couldn't sleep all night. I was so obsessed. I mean, so upset about the waste that I saw of fresh juice. There are people that have nothing to drink. They don't have any food, whatever. And you're taking this stuff, this delicious, expensive stuff, and you're pouring it down a drain. Is that not horrible?
So Jonathan, back to the task. I mean, the topic. Sixth graders have been reported to be the ones that get bullied the most. Why do you think that is?
Sixth graders?
Mhm.
Well, that's sort of like the age between like crossing over from childhood to adulthood. So that may have something to do with it.
And I think it's because they're less developed and they are
What?
more
Your stomach ache?
vulnerable.
Why stuff? What do you mean? I don't get it.
Because that's the age where you're just starting to become who you
Oh, where you're like blossoming
are. You're
and
like,
trying to show your authority.
my parents told me this, my teachers tell me this, my friends tell me this. You know, what am I identifying with?
Right.
What am I going down? What's my identity going to be?
Mhm.
I suspect it has to do with the fact that at that age, most people are at that stage. And so it's easier to bully some. They're more vulnerable, I think.
That makes sense. Is that an actual statistic that you looked up?
That sixth graders, but everything else is just my opinion. And half the students that are 12 to 18 who have reportedly been bullied, their bullies had the ability to influence what other students thought of them. So it's like a whole ganging up on the person type of thing. And
Becomes like a mass bullying.
yeah, these are the times when the person's inclined to want to end their life.
I think that's horrible.
It is. And you know what? It's a big problem. And you and I are sitting here and facetiously discussing this topic. But I think it's a serious topic.
Yeah, it is
and
serious.
I think that if we could use our podcast in any way to help someone.
Well, you did. You gave out the bullying hotline and we came up with the idea.
Before we wrap.
I had a teacher that used to had a very unique way of dealing with bullying. Mrs. Flomenhoff was her name. So when she found out that someone was bullying someone in the class or making fun of them, what she would do is she would call that person, the bully, up in front of the class, and she would have each student take a turn making fun of the bully. So there'd be 25 kids in a class. The one kid who was bullying stands in front of the class, and each of the 25 or 24 other kids has an opportunity to just rip this bully a new asshole and say whatever they wanted, and whether it was about their physical appearance, mental state, whatever it was. I thought that was very effective because that really did limit the bullying in that class.
Yes, and
collective punishment almost is a good way.
Yes, but I also think that we have established earlier in this podcast some of the reasons why people bully, and it's rage, increased anger, revenge, jealousy, whatever. I think it's like putting a band-aid on a sore and then sending the person home without actually trying to fix the wound.
Right.
We need institutions to isolate these people and get them help. Because you may be able, yeah, because you may be able to control what's going on in a particular place, whether it's a school, a workplace, but then they go out into the public. And these are some of the people who inevitably get guns and go trigger crazy.
Is public execution of bullies too extreme?
I don't believe in killing
Might
anyone.
that be a deterrent? What about child molesters? I think child molesters should be executed.
No, I think they should cut their penises off, because I think.
Well, you could do that first and then you could execute them.
If they have an organ that God has given and they're abusing it.
Well, there is forced castration, medical castration.
Yeah, and they think you don't want to kill them, but if you remove the part of their body that's getting them into trouble.
It's not always a male, by the way. A lot of times it's female.
Oh,
so
well,
what do you do in that case? What do you chop off in that case?
You sew up, I guess.
But then you can't pee. Oh, well, that's the other thing. Okay, yeah. So, okay, well, that's, I don't know if that's really, I think execution is much.
It sounds so barbaric, but I feel like.
It's a deterrent.
It's been happening too often, and there are too many of them. And there are neighborhoods in California where before you go to live, you want to check to make sure there are no pedophiles living there, because I was told they let them out of the jails or wherever, and then they just go sit and live in random neighborhoods.
Well,
And next thing you know, somebody else has been victimized.
there's a
because
list.
some of
The
these
sexual, what's it
people-
called? The sexual, I forgot what it's called, sexual something list where you can actually check to see.
Deviants?
I don't know, something like that.
Mhm.
I purposely moved to a location where I thought they did live. I just, I thought, what? Why are you looking at me like that? Okay, forget it. Forget it. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. You didn't ask me, by the way, about any update on my medical condition with my hands. We discussed that numerous times on the podcast.
Because you didn't give me permission to discuss your scabies on.
No,
the
we
podcast.
my scabies. We discussed this on prior podcasts, and I'd like to give an update. We've been talking about how we had both very similar skin conditions and stuff.
And I did not give it to him.
Yeah, well, that's debatable. But
How could I give you something I didn't have?
well, that's debatable too. So I thought originally it was caused by
He is a doctor now.
I thought originally it was caused.
Every day his profession
Are you
changes.
bullying me? I feel like I'm being bullied right now. What's that hotline number? I think I have to call the hotline. So this is something also that I think people would find very helpful. I'm being serious. So as it turns out, 2 years I'm suffering with this hand condition, which again, quality of life issue, which I thought was triggered by, could have been triggered by mold in the studio. I don't know, could have been triggered by the oat milk, which I thought maybe. It turns out, long story short, I tried, I had steroid cream work, but I don't want to use steroid cream forever. So fast forward 2 years later, I'm dealing with this, and I decided to take some drastic action. And I decided to take curcumin pills, which are turmeric. And in 3 weeks, everything is gone. Now, turmeric pills, if you're not familiar with it, or curcumin, whatever you call it, it's for inflammation. It's turmeric's been around for thousands of years, and it's almost like what do you call it? I was gonna say aphrodisiac. I don't even mean that.
Antihistamine.
And yeah, like an antihistamine, what's the other one?
Inflammatory.
Anti-inflammatory. What's the other one?
I am his Google Guide for everything
So-
that goes on all day.
So in 3 weeks, it cleared up everything. So now I actually have a curcumin dealer that I get the curcumin from. And can I call? I'm actually out. I need to call my curcumin dealer to just arrange for a pickup tonight, if that's okay. Do you mind? Do you mind?
No, I don't want to be accused of bullying you.
Okay.
I'll let you bully the curcumin dealer.
Yeah, because I need new bottles. So I only have a couple of them left. And seriously, cured of everything. It's absolutely amazing. So let me see if my dealer's around. I can't stand when my dealer doesn't answer the phone. Ma,
Yeah.
I need more curcumin.
You need what?
Curcumin, the turmeric pills.
Oh, I got it.
How many?
Now?
How many? No, not right now. But how many? I need one more bottle.
No problem.
How many milligrams?
We'll look. I got a bunch of them. I'm not gonna see it.
The high. I want the highest milligram.
I think it's always for 1 second. I think 1,500 or something. Who's it for?
Me.
Okay, hold on.
Oh, just tell. Oh my god, I can't stand what you think. It's so annoying. So fucking- oh my God.
Let me know what I can.
That's the highest. Come on, I'm in a rush. I only have 3 minutes left on my podcast. Hurry up. What?
Let me look at the other.
I don't have all night.
5,800 milligrams. The other one, the box is.
Fine, whatever. Was it your birthday the other day? Was it your birthday the other day?
What about my birthday?
Was it the other day?
No?
Whatever. I don't care. Okay, goodbye.
You want it now?
No, tomorrow.
You are a bully.
It's my curcumin dealer.
I cannot believe you would do this to your mother on this topic.
She was bullying me. She's trying to make me hold on. While she's looking up there, she's like, hold on. Who? She's like, what is that?
You didn't even say happy birthday to your mother. You didn't even send her some flowers. Oh my God.
Actually, you know what I did?
And
So
if I was making you muffins and this and that, you're
That's
just
your
really
job.
a horrible person.
if you decide to give birth to me, then you have to take care of me. That's the way I look at that. But I did actually leave flowers and balloons by her door, but I didn't buy them. My neighbor my neighbor dropped off flowers at my house because he needs favors from my wife to drive him places and stuff like that. So I just grabbed the flowers and I left them by my parents' door. And my old balloons from my birthday, I hung on their door. So technically, I did give her flowers and balloons just because I didn't purchase them.
Thank God I'm not your girlfriend.
And I didn't tell her it was from.
Or your mother or anybody close to you. Thank God you just sit here in the studio with me, blow hot air and go home. Because you are not my kind of human.
It was my curcumin dealer. I told you, I have a curcumin. It just happened to be my mother.
Anyway, John, we're out of time and thank God. Because after that phone call to your mother, I think I'm going to throw up.
Which is worse, the phone call to my mother or the holes in my shoes?
You have come out from under a rock in a bubble. And I'm sure of it. Let me let you go so you could go crawl back in your bubble under the rock. Because where us civilized people hang out, those things that you do are bothersome.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
I'm sucking on this tea bag.
Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully you heard something tonight that if you weren't aware of, now you are. And don't let anybody bully you. And if you feel like you're being bullied, don't forget, there's a no bully help hotline, 1-866-488-7386. No one has the right to bully you.
See, you have no sense of humor because I would have given out the wrong phone number for the bully hotline. I would have given what?
Say your thing because we have to wrap.
Oh, okay. I'm saying all right, you're right. I shouldn't give out the wrong number to the bully hotline because that is a serious topic. As I said before, in all seriousness, yes, bullying is serious. It is detrimental. It changes and affects lives in a negative way. It should not be tolerated in any form. And I do believe that bullies should be punished severely, and our children do need to be protected. And I think that it's the responsibility of parents of the bully, and it's the responsibility of the school administration where the bullying could be occurring to resolve the problem quickly and efficiently and prevent it from happening ever again to anybody else. And I think society in general, we have to be very cognizant of that. I want to thank you, Jenny, again for hosting and from coming back from your long hiatus. This is segment number 15. We will be doing segment number 16 and many other segments, hopefully to come. And again, we have some topics chosen, but I'm not going to tease that now. We're just going to be back in a week or so and pick up again.
And thank you for watching. How can you
say that? Listening, not watching.
You have been listening to the podcast where we are always raw and authentic. And we thank you for listening, and we will see you soon.
See how rusty you are with that last line? You need to practice because you're out of practice.